Thank you, Neil, and very good morning to everybody. And thank you, Kimberly and Cinda, for having me here. You know, delivering the keynote to industry veterans and experts, I find is a very daunting task. So I will attempt, with your permission today, to share with you some of my experiences from within the industry, some from outside, and some assessment and thoughts. And if you find anything of even a little value, I will consider it an honor for myself. But first, I would like to take you into the past. The origins. Our company, Get It, introduced the concept of yellow pages in India in 1986. I know what you're thinking. You know, it's true. In today's context, it is almost like a dinosaur, you know. 1986, yellow pages, white pages, B2B, B2C, and so on and so forth. And by the year 1998, we had become very successful as a company, expanded 20 cities nationwide, and had the whole product suite, B2B, B2C, industrial directories, and so on. And that's when the world changed. Now, when this digital revolution came about, I don't think all of us understood it or understood the impact of it. There were some questions that we asked ourselves. There were umpteen number of conferences with Kelsey Group, Neil, and everybody was there. And we used to ask the following questions. If, when, and how are these changes going to impact our business? I think the if was easy because everybody knew definitely digital will impact us. When is where we started to go wrong. Initially, I believe, we overestimated the pace of change into the digital world, and some of the products which we introduced were a bit ahead of their times. How is something, again, we misunderstood. If I may use the word, our thinking on the how was a little bit linear because we were looking at this medium and we were looking at our industry and we were thinking, how does our industry deal with this medium? What we really didn't figure was how other industries and everybody else was going to deal with this medium. So as a result, the environment changed a lot, which I think a lot of us, and certainly ourselves, with the benefit of hindsight, we missed that. Anyways, after the internet came about the mobile revolution, and I think history repeated itself all over again, because just as print to online was a big change, I think the online to mobile and tablets was a significant change all over again. And again, I am not sure if all of us fully comprehended, how the life and world would have changed or was likely to change in the next few years. Think about it. You heard about VAS. In India, VAS used to be a very big name. Companies became billion-dollar corporations almost in a few months, just doing VAS. Today, nobody talks about VAS.
What's VAS?
Value-added services for mobile, telcos, offering ringtones and God knows what all, right? SMS, we spent years worrying about SMS and how we are going to deal with SMS and USSD and so on and so forth. But companies like WhatsApp are pretty much writing the obituaries of SMS and that generation. So there has been a lot of change. And, my idea here is not to talk about the past. My idea here is to let bygones be bygones. You have to look at the past in the context of the present and the future just to make sure that you hopefully will not repeat the same mistakes. So when the opportunity came about for us in about 2012 to take Get It International, we were concerned and we wanted to make sure that some of whatever we had learned, we were going to apply, and we would sort of, not be caught on the wrong foot all over again. As an entrepreneur, when one looks at a market or a product, what you're trying to do is, you identify the market need, and then you build a product around that need, and then, you go passionately forward, trying to make sure that you will make a success out of it. Sometimes you work the other way around. You have a product, and you try and find a market where you can go and fit that product into, right? I think in our case, it was a bit of both. We were trying to venture out into new markets, identify a market which will be suitable for the product suite that we had, but at the same time, we were acutely aware that over the years, our product suite had become reasonably complex, and trying to take that into a new market could be a recipe for disaster. So we went back to the drawing board, and we rebuilt from scratch for this market a new product. So to do that, we tried to understand the environment. So the scenario is, in a connected world, the first thing that you come about, or one has to accept in today's world, is that Google knows everything. Having crawled every single bit, pun intended, of this universe, the general impression that the market has is that Google knows everything. So each time you're trying to do something new in our space, the first question is, why wouldn't I just Google it? Why would I come to you? Multiple apps are out there already. So in our space, there are multiple companies with apps out there which do similar or dissimilar things, but very difficult for the consumer to be able to figure out one from the other. Location is key, but geocoding data is very expensive, time-consuming, and reasonably complicated because each market is quite different. And we learned about this even yesterday, that with e-commerce and m-commerce, what we were finding was that many categories were being completely leapfrogged because consumers are no longer searching for suppliers. They are going straight to the end product and ordering it online. And that renders the business of local search almost in jeopardy for a whole host of categories. Social is omnipresent. People are crowdsourcing reviews, ratings, and acting upon them. And it was very, very important to understand that and deal with that. Couponing is very, very big, especially in Asian markets. Everybody wants 100% off on everything. So, but that's the fact. So, you got to make sure that you are able to bring to them a product which allows you to do that. And in the context of 4 years ago, this slide is a lot less relevant today. But at that time, the problem was that the installed base of Nokia and BlackBerry was still huge, even though you knew that those companies were probably on their way out. But what do you do? How do you develop something for a market which is a few percentage points only? And also the fact that all the big guys are either out there already, or that it's just a matter of time before they come out into your market. So with this background, we went about to design our new product set. The market that we were launching was Malaysia, and herein we figured, and this is something that was slightly different, which gave us a starting point, is that the telcos are struggling as much as we are in the context of where they were to where they are going to go. And as a result, if you look at what telcos do, they pretty much supply the plumbing, and all the content companies supply all of the water to go through that plumbing. And companies like Google, etc., and Facebook, they take that network which the telcos have established, and they roll out their products and services, and the telcos are struggling. So as a result, we felt that telcos would need a product which helped them migrate from being a supplier of network to being a supplier of content on that network. The fact that they have deep relationships with consumers, they have a billing infrastructure, brand, trust, they know location of consumers, and they have critical mass. So with this background, we focused on this market, and these were the principles. Our product was going to be mobile-led. We were focused on specific categories, very few to begin with, and do them well, and we found, we thought that we could always expand into more categories with time. Also, start with only specific geographies, because you try and launch something across the nation or across markets, very, very difficult, takes lots of time. It's always a chicken and egg. So if you take a finite market, you can always, go get your marketing out much quicker. We also wanted to simplify, because our product suite, as some of you may know, was very, very complex. So we wanted one integrated product. We didn't want multiple products. It had to be easy to use, easy to sell. And at this point, I'd like to reflect on some of the things that this industry believes. We always hear that our strength is our sales force, and we have the most fantastic sales forces, and so on and so forth. But ask ourselves honestly, is our sales force really a strength for us? Or is it our biggest challenge? I can speak for myself, and I know that it is more challenging today to manage that sales force than it ever was in the past. And honestly, I'm really not sure if that is really our strength anymore. Anyways, and the product had to be easy to fulfill, because a lot of time where we've been going wrong is that we sell a very nice product, let's say a website or whatever, but it takes 4 or 5 visits to the customer to try and get it fulfilled. You don't get the content, you don't get the data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and it becomes very expensive. We wanted a small, dedicated team, data, depth, and accuracy. This is where we were willing to spend a lot of money, because that was going to be our key differentiator in a market where structured content did not exist. We were willing to go in, verify every single listing, search all of the attributes for that listing, populate it with pictures and hopefully video at some stage, and make it very, very rich, and run the organization in a startup culture, and rely a lot on partnerships. So this was the background, and with this, and this was the concept of the product that we had. This is our first mock-up screenshot, even before the product was produced. We wanted it to be so simple and easy to use. So fast forward by a year, we launched a product which we believe, based on all of those criteria, met those criteria. It was simple, easy to use, data, it was rich, and it would allow to lead from local search into e-commerce. So it was integrated in that fashion. We partnered with Maxis, Malaysia's largest telco, and we launched everything on their deck. It was accessible to anybody from any telco, but they were our peg to start the business off on. We got very good voice of customer. Maxis milked the opportunity through PR and everything, which really helped the business and the brand. And we signed partnerships with the leading bank, the leading associations for restaurants, for trade, the metro, and so on and so forth. Okay. So I think,
I'm the one on the right. You're the one on the left.
I'm the one in the middle. I feel that we are all part of an industry where most of the original incumbents have struggled in the recent years. Most of the big players have taken a strong position in search, local search, lead generation domains, and companies have carved a niche for themselves in the vertical spaces. Yet, every once in a while, a startup has emerged within this ecosystem to capitalize on the spaces left out and become very successful. And this is true for most markets. It is also true that most of these success stories have behind them a bunch of people who have understood a market's needs and acted feverishly to solve and address those needs. Seldom have these successes been an incremental change from within an erstwhile incumbent player. Companies that have become very successful have taken some very bold decisions. They have not been shy to cut the umbilical cord or to divest business lines and to focus on what they believe is the real opportunity. And opportunities are all around us. In our market, there are many long-tail problems that have not been solved yet. There are many markets which are far from taken. I can speak for markets in Asia, I can speak for markets in Africa, and some in the Middle East, and they have vast gaps in opportunities. May be not for a product to be fit for those markets by engineering and retrofit, maybe by starting from scratch, or maybe retrofitting a product, I can't say for sure, but the opportunities are there. But it will probably need going back to the drawing board, in most cases, to make it count. And I believe very strongly that the world is going to change again dramatically shortly. Are we ready for this change? Thank you.
Sid, why don't you grab a seat, because we'll do some Q&A. I'd like to invite Eric up. There's Eric. Eric's our second speaker this morning. He's going to talk about, I think, about B2B and lead nurturing and things like that. Right, Eric? Welcome. And then we'll do a little Q&A.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Kimberly, for welcoming us. Yes, so Europages is, let's say, some kind of a directory. We're not local. We are pretty much international, at least European. So I will have this short overview of the way that we manage the data within the website and share our experience with you. So we can have an overview on which data that we leverage, how we collect the data and process them, and how we use the data throughout the sales funnel in order to convert leads into customers. So first of all, about Europages, it's a website which is accessible in 26 languages. We get some kind of 25 million visitors a year from more than 100 countries all over the world. We enjoy 50 million searches and a huge clickstream, meaning that we can deal with more than 1 billion data in 1 year. So we're not local. You understood that our target markets are SMBs, industrial SMBs in Europe that want to export or import goods from various countries. Our core products named ePage, so you can see this kind of landing page that we propose to both free members and paid members. Europages is based on a freemium model. I mean, you must know about this. You register for free, and afterwards you are engaged as a lead to become customer. So we deal with multimedia content, text, pictures, catalog. We offer our customers to upload videos, documents, PDFs, white books, and so on. And for the customers, for the paid members, the content is translated into 15 languages so that they can be reached by any European visitor in mother tongue. So we are doing a lot of SEO. We have page rank of 7, and most of our traffic come out of Google. But within, on top of these e-pages, we have a wide range of B2B e-marketing solutions, such as catalogs, display and display retargeting since a couple of months, as well as sponsoring a newsletter, for instance. So the way that we engage the visitors is quite simple. We do not do SEM, mainly SEO. 75% of our traffic come out of Google. And in order to diversify the source of traffic, we are developing activities in the social networks, because it's not so good to be so Google dependent, as you know. So we drive non-identified visitors to our website, and we start grabbing and collecting some data regarding anonymous visitors. He just visits the site, he clicks on e-pages for free members or paid members. So at this early stage, we collect the data. An authentified user is a user that uses our website to contact the members. So at each time you want to send an email to a free or paid member, he has to sign in. So here we can grab some other kind of data, identified data, and what we call ROI stats. ROI stats are the number of times that an e-page is viewed, the number of times a visitor click on the e-page to the customer, to the member's website, and the number of times he views a video and so on. So that we call ROI statistics are the ROI for our members, for the free and paid members. I will show you later on details. The third thing is when a free member registers on Europages, he is part of Europages, he's a free member, and again, we track identified data. And at the end, you understood that, well, for us, a lead, for the sales force, for our partners abroad, a lead is a free member, which is more or less active. But we get leads out of free members that are registered for free. This is the business model of freemium, anyway. So what about the data we collect? So you understood that, first of all, the first typology of visitors are anonymous. So the derived data that we get is linked to browsing activity. So we get the search expression, the origin, geographical origin, referrals to the website, number of e-pages that are viewed, number of clicks to members' websites, email sent, and so on. And of course, areas of interest and countries of interest of every single visitor. Because if a visitor is searching for, let's say, hydraulic pumps, it will specify in which country is interested in by clicking a filter. So I know that this cookie is interested in hydraulic pumps in China, for instance. So this is what we collect. And we add, when a user is identified through, when he has sent an email through our website, we get visitor details and the address, email address, and the emailing behavior, and what we call RFM is recency, frequency. This is not monetary, for instance. This is volume, I mean, recency, frequency, volume of email sent, volume of click performed, and so on. This is a way of profiling the identified visitors. And at the end, the free member give us content. So the free member uploads text, videos, pictures, and so on. So this is the global scheme of the data that we collect and we store in our business intelligence systems. Of course, the last typology are tracked because we put persistent cookie on each browser. So this slide is a bit more technical, let's say. How do we collect the data? How we do process them? Our BI system. First of all, the major point is Comscore Web Analytics solution. Comscore is like a Google Analytics, but paid one like Adobe, like Omniture, if you know that. So every single hit, every single log is tracked, is captured, and stored in our database. So you need to have a very comprehensive and precise tagging plan and make sure that every single page of the website is tagged. We have webmail logs as well because you understood that the users within Europages can contact the companies in Europages with an email functionality. So we have all the feedback, the webmail feedback, all the logs, who is writing to who, but we keep anonymous, on what kind of topic, and we store the text of the content, the body of the email as well for text mining purposes. We have data from Neodata, which is a partner in the field of art serving, so we can measure and track this kind of activities as well. And at last, we have two other sources, which are the members database and the publication database. So all that is merge and extract, transform, and load in a Talent ETL, which is an extract, transform, and load solution, it's the BI solution, and then stored in various data warehouses and data marts. We use a NoSQL database to deal with the huge volumes that we store. And we address these two databases with two major solutions in the field of data mining and reporting, which are from the IBM SPSS Modeler. We do data mining with such a solution, and Cognos, which is a reporting tool. Therefore, we can issue various reports, and we can make value and out of this data through various solutions. We produce data-driven emails, on-site data visualization, and on-demand ROI reporting for the customers and the free members, as well as on-site ROI reporting, meaning that each customer can access his My Europage space and have a look on all the data related to his e-page, meaning number of times, the various countries, or the contacts that he had through the webmail. So you understood that transparency in terms of data, in terms of ROI, is in the core of our activity. It's part of our value proposition. So this data is a leverage pursuing three main objectives. The first one is to enrich the content of Europage's websites. Second one is to drive free members conversion. The third one has to do with customer loyalty. So for instance, we issue triggered emails to improve e-page completion, because when a free member registers, maybe he's lazy, he will not fulfill all the data that we are asking him to enter. He will not upload its logo. He will not upload no videos, no documents. So this is a lack of information that we want to deal with, and so triggered emails are sent. I show you details afterwards. To drive free member conversion, we send out a statistic newsletter. So the newsletter regarding the ROI for the free members, together with triggered emails with teasers on anonymous visitor. Someone in the field of polymers has visited your website 2 days ago. Want to know more? Contact us. It's a kind of lever to drive free members conversion. And for customer loyalty, the same way, we send out enriched ROI newsletters together with identified visitors' emails. And all these e-marketing activities are supported by data mining insights. For instance, for the enriched content column, we try and we succeeded in data modeling, the visibility of the e-page, meaning we managed to discover which kind of variable has an effect on reach, on the visibility of an e-page. So, for instance, the text completion will be more important than the presence of a logo. So, depending on the variables that are missing in an e-page, we will address a specific email. And we do a lot of free member scoring and profiling, depending on if a free member receiving an e-newsletter opens or not opens, clicks or not clicks. And the same way.
Could I ask you to give us some statistics of how you're doing with all these things, some conversions, and
conversion
would you be
rates.
willing to share some of that?
Yes. Well, for the center column and drive free member conversion, we increased by 18% the conversion rate since we set up this kind of business intelligence tool.
So conversion's gone up.
Conversion is going out thanks to the fact that we have better knowledge of free members' behavior, and
do you track what converts better? Some of the things along this path that convert better than other things? Could you give us some insight into that?
Yes. Well, this is very tiny percentage of free members that convert into leads, of course. And this is quite well explainable through data mining, meaning that we identify which are the key variables that lead the free member to convert. Yeah.
Okay.
For instance, the number of times he opens a newsletter. A free member that opens a newsletter and clicks is very important because this kind of free member is engaged.
Right.
And it would be more likely.
And how many members do you have?
So we have globally 2 million companies. But we get 5,000 new businesses each month. And this is the core free members that we nurture. We try to awake the old ones, but it's quite difficult.
And then you have a revenue per member model, correct?
Yes.
And what kind of metrics can you share with us about that?
Revenue, yeah, it's quite confidential. I mean, okay, maybe we can discuss later on.
All right, I'll let you finish. I just wanted to get some sense of how it's going. So thank you for that.
Okay, I will be more precise by the end of the slides. So this is an example of e-page completion. We figured out that e-page completion impacts both the free member reach, visibility, so the quality of the lead, because the more complete the e-page is, the more qualified will be the leads. And the e-page completion impacts as well the overall content of your pages, therefore the site reach. So for instance, our system scans each completion items and issue triggered emails. So this is a free member e-page. You can see that there is only 3 out of 5 keywords. There is no document. So after the email, you can see that he adds some pictures and he adds two headings, meaning that it will have more visibility. So it will be more likely converted into a customer, and the Europage website will be more rich in content. Anyway, so for the existing database of all the free members, we issue specific emails as well in the same way to improve content and to re-engage the old free members through improving their own reach. Another thing is, this is the principle. The search data is leveraged to generate content, provide visitors with insight, anonymous visitors with insight, meaning we get implicit data from users, we process the data, this is the principle, and we provide the anonymous visitor by knowledge in a way. So that's what we use to design maps of searches performed on Europages. You can see that in Ireland, in the field of agricultural and livestock, people are searching in France, Spain, Italy, and so on. So this is free.
These are the maps you provide that you
The maps we provide based on data we collect for free to anonymous visitor. I think it's some kind of open data, and it's quite ethical because anonymous visitor give us implicit data that we collect.
I think this is really interesting what you can do with this stuff. Okay.
For the free member conversion, as I told you, we issue, yes, you have some figures here, a monthly newsletter displaying visibility statistics together with other content, relevant content. We issue 1 million per month, roughly, in 50 countries, in 12 linguistic versions. And the average open rate last year was 17.3.
For the newsletter?
For the newsletter addressed to free members. To free members. And it will vary depending on countries. For instance, in Italy, we have better open rate. In the UK, they're not so good. So we try to work it out to...
What do you think determines open rates?
The content. The content and the figures as well. Because when you have great figures, you are more likely to I've got figures this month, what happened? So I open and I will check the countries that are listed. The country represent the number of visitors that top 3 countries visiting countries.
Okay.
So content is more important. We try to deliver relevant content, and we failed in the UK and in other English-speaking countries. Anyway, this is good for nurturing a relationship, and it's a way to monetize the data because we sponsor the newsletter.
You sell ads there.
We sell ads, very targeted one, countries and activity sectors.
Got it.
Okay, rapidly, this is the kind of trigger email, the teasers that we send out, as I told you before. A professional of the cereal dryers sector located in France has visited the website. If you want to know more, you get to pay. You get to become customers. You can have the name of the...
So you're really an email marketing company?
Well, we are doing email marketing to the free members to nurture leads. This is a way, this is an e-marketing campaign to nurture the leads, mostly. So, at last, to improve customer loyalty, to maintain the relationship with the customers, because the sales force, the partners cannot see all clients every single month. We issue the same kind of newsletter to customers, a bit enriched, and you understood that the transparency on ROI figures are are at the core of our value proposition. Because if a customer says, "Oh well, I paid a lot, I have no return," we can discuss with him. Our sales force can discuss with him and find a solution to improve the quality of the e-page. And the same way, we issue triggered emails to deliver really nominative leads with email address, with phone numbers, and so on for customers. So we are generating leads for our own customers. So, and this is the kind of report that we issue. It's a lead gen report for the customers, and we list all the visitors to their website, to their e-page.
So this is the proof of the pudding. Yeah.
To go back is.
I don't think you can go back.
See. Maybe this.
No, you can.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, you can. So it's kind of this is a report issued through the Cognos, IBM Cognos solution. We name it. Europages find it, and we send out to the customers on demand. So the partners or our own sales force issue them, and and send them to the customers. It is a way to maintain the contact with the customer. And we can see very detailed information of visitors that are tracked and that visited the e-page or clicked to the member's website. So to summarize, three major actions to improve customer loyalty. On-site with My Europages, each customer can have access to the statistics. We are issuing some newsletter and emails, triggers email to the customers, and at the end, on demand, the sales force, the partner, can issue reports for the customers. Well, that's the overview of what we are dealing with data. Thank you very much.
Great. Have a seat, Eric. We'll do a couple Q&A. I'll start with Sid. Sid, I think you're the only one who's acknowledged that the sales force of yesterday was really a liability rather than an asset. Can you talk a little bit more about how you came to that conclusion and why you believe that so strongly? I think it's on.
Well, firstly, I speak for myself, not for everybody else. But I think what we have experienced is that it becomes very difficult to attract good talent in today's date in organizations which are not entirely new media, etc.
Yeah.
The products sometimes are not understood by the salespeople, and as soon as they find a few closed doors,
they give up.
They give up. They don't have the perseverance to carry on with it. And there are umpteen other examples, but the fact of the matter is that this industry has struggled to figure out the right balance between the traditional forces, the new forces, the compensation, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Whilst most of the big players have not invested in sales teams at all for considerably long periods of time, till such time their products have become so well established that they almost sell for themselves, and even thereafter they partner with companies like us to do all of the heavy lift.
Yeah.
So I think it is or has been a challenge, and the fact remains that the amount of exposure salespeople get in our industry, the amount of training we give, because we still invest in them a lot, I think it just adds value to their CV, and they are able to find other jobs more easily. It's a fact.
Do you think that sales training is a black hole?
So describe black hole in the sense.
Well, that you're just pouring money into it, and you, while all these companies say, oh, well, they need sales training, but you think there's a payoff there.
You see, the problem with
and you can answer that too, Eric.
Okay. The problem with our industry is that we need lots of salespeople. If we were to hire 2 or 3 salespeople for a market, I can understand that we can compensate them based on experience and so on.
Right.
The problem is that, to cover a market, we need 20, 30, 40, maybe 500 salespeople in some companies. And then you need to go through a structure. You cannot be compensating each person. So, then everybody falls into that structure, and all the good ones will have market value, which is significantly more.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a challenge, and that's what we've seen. But
Eric, you want to comment on that? You have salespeople, right?
Very few.
How many?
Very few salespeople. Meaning in France, we have roughly 20 salespersons in France. In Italy, much more, because we are the subsidiary of SEAT Pagine, so the Yellow Pages Italy.
Yeah.
So they have, yes, maybe 600 sales.
600 sales.
Yes, but are selling
as
our
part of
product,
SEAT,
a bundle.
Yeah.
So this is the point. This is very difficult to find and train the salesmen, and it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
But the new young people that are joining the industry are, I would say, for France, well educated in a high level of school, university.
I'd like to go back to Sid for a minute. How long did it take you from sort of product idea to launch of that product?
6 months.
6 months. And what would you say you could have done to accelerate that, looking back?
Did I want to accelerate it?
You didn't want to? Why?
Because what happens is that while your product is getting developed, you are also working the market and understanding the market and getting more familiar with what's happening on the ground. So there wasn't a real rush to get into the market much sooner. And it will always take you that time to find the right partners and to do partnership deals with them and so on. And I think 6 months is a fairly brisk time frame.
I was going to say that was pretty good, 6 months. So that's impressive. Do we have any questions from the audience? Stephanie's got a microphone. There's one on the right. Thank you.
Hi, this question is a follow-on one actually for Sid, which is around your streamlining of products. You mentioned earlier you had to look at whether or not the salespeople could sell them. Did you give more importance or less to whether or not they were profitable? So was it really just about whether or not the salespeople could sell them and understand them?
I think the profitability would come much later. The volume or the critical mass must come before, because no matter how you price it, if you sell only a few, you will never be profitable. So the idea was to be able to develop a product which was very simple to understand. So, somebody should be able to sell it in 2 minutes, either a yes or a no, and move on. And hopefully a yes, but move on. Because typically, what are we trying to sell? We are trying to sell business leads at the end of the day. And it should be as simple as saying to the customer, we will list you and you'll start getting leads, as opposed to, the traditional way of, spending 25 minutes describing your product, and the salesperson himself or herself doesn't understand the product well enough to describe it to the customer, and then it's downhill from thereafter.
Any other questions? Let's give these guys, there's one final question in the back right there. Then we'll move on.
I have a question for Eric. You showed a report that you send out to your customers. Unfortunately, I couldn't quite see the fields that you send out, but I guessed it was customer or data of the people who looked at the websites of your customer. So how do you deal with data protection in the different countries if you send out personal data to your customers?
Yes, this is a good question. So we make sure that in our general conditions terms, when you send out as a visitor, when you send out an email, you accept the terms and conditions of Europages. And at a European level, the B2B is quite different than the B2C, meaning that the data protection regarding a company is less restrictive than concerning an individual. So for the time being, we have lots of lawyers, and the terms and conditions are okay. So the visitor accepts that this data is used for statistic purpose.
Okay? Get your answer? Yeah, great. Okay.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
you guys.